Infrastructure as code is a solution, so first we have to describe the problem. When we discuss software infrastructure, we talk about the underlying infrastructure that we deploy our applications on top of. The obvious infrastructure is machines with compute, storage and memory, as well as the network connectivity between them. But in this complex world, we also need to remember access management with authentication and authorization as a part of our software infrastructure. In traditional infrastructure management, a common way of working is that the consumer creates a ticket in some IT help desk for a resource to be created. Then someone goes to an interface and creates the resource through a point-and-click interface. This leads to long lead times and rework due to handoffs. That is fine when we do not have a lot of infrastructure or the churn in our infrastructure is relatively low, where a server lifetime is measured in years. But in our dynamic world, this is not enough. In these settings, we will end up with environments that take a lot of effort to maintain and that drift further and further apart over time. This is blocking us from scaling our infrastructure superlinearly from our headcount. That is not sustainable. We have all tried rerunning a failed test on a specific machine because we know it works on Agent 47. This in turn reduces our trust in our environment. When working with manually configured environments, we are dependent on humans maintaining work logs and documentation. These repetitive tasks suit humans badly and are bound to lead to failures, both in terms of being able to reproduce an environment as it was at a certain time, and in terms of knowing how the environment looks and how it got into that state. In order to solve these pains, we look into infrastructure as code. We can look into containers or golden VM images to get immutability and diminish configuration drift. But more interestingly, we look into scripting our infrastructure. This means that we encode all our decisions regarding our infrastructure. Ideally, we can leave the declarative to those that develop our applications, so they can state their what. How that what will be implemented can be left to platform teams, those with operation skills, or outsourced to a cloud provider, depending on the scale and context. This declarative infrastructure can be validated and verified. Before hitting production environments, it can be tested and scanned. Using infrastructure as code, we are finally able to scale, to deploy our environments as we need in a reproducible manner. Our traceability comes automatically because we version control our infrastructure using the same good practices as for application code. And it puts stress into our architecture and deployment models. This is why infrastructure as code matters. I am Johan Abelskov. I am a DevOps consultant at Infrastructureascode, a leading DevOps company in Europe.